Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture of literature. I'm Adrian Fort.
And I'm Dalton Gentry.
And we are here for a poetry review. Dalton, what are we reviewing this time?
More Bukowski.
Chucky Buck.
A lot of Bukowski lately. We are doing His Wife, the Painter. Yes.
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 We're going to start with the reading?
Yes.
Oh, is that what we normally do?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Would you like to take that?
We'll have two readings, three good things, three bad things. The best line, full literary analysis, followed by rating and recommendation based on the text. The text being His Wife, the Painter.
You want to start us?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
His Wife, the Painter. There are sketches on the walls of men and women and ducks, and outside a large green bus swerves through traffic like insanity sprung from a waving line. Turgenev, says the radio, and Jane Austen too. I'm going to do her portrait on the 28th while you are at work. He is just this edge of fat, and he walks constantly. He fritters. They have him. They are eating him hollow like a webbed fly, and his eyes are red-suckled with fear. He feels the hatred and discard of the world, sharper than his razor, and his gut feel hangs like a wet polyp. And he self-decisions himself defeated, trying to shake his hung beard from a razor in water, like life, not warm enough. Daumier, Rue Transnonain, le 15 avril 1845. Lithograph, Paris, Bibliothèque Nationale. She has a face unlike that of any woman I have ever known. What is that? A love affair? Silly. I can't love a woman. Besides, she's pregnant. I can paint. A flower eaten by a snake, that sunlight is a lie, and that market's smell of shoes and naked boys' clothes, and under everything some river, some beat, some twist that clambers along the edge of my temple and bites nip dizzy. Men drive cars and paint their houses, but they are mad. Men sit in barber chairs, buy hats. Corot. Recollection of Mortefontaine, Paris, Louvre. I must write Kaiser, though I think he's a homosexual. Are you still reading Freud? Page 299. She made a little hat and fastened two snaps under one arm, reaching up from the bed like a long feeler from the snail. And she went to church, and he thought, now, I've the time, and the dog. About the church, the trouble with a mask is, it never changes. So rude the flowers that grow and do not grow beautiful. So magic the chair on the patio that does not hold legs, and belly and arm and neck and mouth that bites into the wind like the end of a tunnel. He turned in bed and thought, I am searching for some segment in the air. It floats about the people's heads. When it rains on the trees, it sits between the branches, warmer and more blood-real than the dove. Orozco, Christ Destroying the Cross, Hanover, Dartmouth College, Baker Library. He burned away in sleep.
His Wife, the Painter. There are sketches on the walls of men and women and ducks, and outside a large green bus swerves through traffic like insanity sprung from a waving line. Turgenev, says the radio, and Jane Austen, too. I am going to do her portrait on the 28th while you are at work. He is just this edge of fat, and he walks constantly. He fritters. They have him. They are eating him hollow like a webbed fly, and his eyes are red-suckled with fear. He feels the hatred and discard of the world sharper than his razor, and his gut feel hangs like a wet polyp, and he self-decisions himself defeating, trying to shake his hung beard from a razor in water, like life, not warm enough. Daumier, Rue Transnonain, the 15th of April, 1843, Lithograph, Paris, Bibliothèque Nationale. She has a face unlike that of any woman I have ever known. What is it? A love affair? Silly. I can't love a woman. Besides, she's pregnant. I can paint. A flower eaten by a snake, that sunlight is a lie. And that market smells of shoes and naked boys clothed, and under everything some river, some beat, some twist that clambers along the edge of my temple and bites nip dizzy. Men drive cars and paint their houses, but they are mad. Men sit in barber chairs, buy hats. Corot, Recollection of Mortefontaine, Paris, Louvre. I must write Kaiser, though I think he is a homosexual. Are you still reading Freud? Page 299. She made a little hat, and he fastened 2 snaps under one arm, reaching up from the bed like a long feeler from the snail. And she went to church, and he thought, now I have the time and the dog. About church, the trouble with a mask is it never changes. So rude, the flowers that grow and do not grow beautiful. So magic, the chair on the patio that does not hold legs and belly and arm and back and neck and mouth, that bites into the wind like the end of a tunnel. He turned in bed and thought, I am searching for some segment in the air. It floats above the people's heads. When it rains on the streets, it sits between the branches, warmer and more blood-real than the dove. Orozco, Christ Destroying the Cross, Hanover, Dartmouth College, Baker Library. He burned away in sleep. 3 good things.
3 good things. Number 1, this is Bukowski stretching a bit. This feels very almost artsy for him, if I will. Number 2, there are some gorgeous lines in this. And number 3, this is a bit of a cross medium. It invokes 2 different art styles here, both the painter and the writer. Adrian?
1, these are quirky characters. 2, ambiguity in dialogue. 3, references galore. 3 bad things. Dalton?
Number 1, what? Number 2, this will require some research regarding the paintings, I think. Number 3, it almost feels like Bukowski might be trying a bit too hard here.
Okay. 1, this is tough to tear apart. 2, ambiguity in dialogue. 3, references galore.
Okay.
Do you have a best line?
I do. About church, the trouble with a mask is it never changes. I like that.
So rude, the flowers that grow and do not grow beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where do you want to start with this?
I think it's important to start with the paintings.
Okay.
The first one, Rue Transnonain, is a scene of massacre.
Mm-hmm.
The second, from Jean-Baptiste Camille Corot, is a scene of a woman and her children. Apparently one of the notable things about this painting is that it is from a time in his career when he was blending his former realist tendencies with the popular impressionism.
Okay.
So we get that a little bit in this poem, I think, as well. And the third one from Jose Clemente
I would assume.
Orozco, Christ Destroying the Cross, is a post-crucifixion Christ taking an axe to the cross, which also, to me, appeared to be laying in a pyre.
Okay.
So what are we doing there?
What are we doing there?
Yeah, any thoughts on the paintings in general?
The paintings in general. The last one, I would assume that is the destruction of basically what we have held either dear or what has bound us.
Or what we have found meaningful.
Fair. But we hold dear, I'd go with that. And I also think... I looked at the paintings very briefly because I think it is necessary that you see what these paintings are to even understand any of the poem. He burned away in sleep. That last scene, Christ Destroying the Cross, you said it's on a pyre. It does have a bit of a fire look to it, correct? That's interesting as well.
Yeah. So the first painting, Rue Transnonain, is very realistic.
Okay.
The second painting, what is it called?
Recollection of Mort
Fontaine. That is, like I said, apparently the notable thing about that painting is it's halfway between, well, this is realism, but it's sort of impressionism. Like you get those feel from it too. And the third one is very stylized.
Okay.
So I think the interesting thing here is that we're starting grounded with those painting references and moving to things which are more ephemeral.
Okay. I am no expert in art nor painting. I feel like you are much more educated in that realm than I.
I took a class.
You took a class. I'm so proud of you. So that may be more your talking point than mine.
Okay. So along with it, The first painting includes a man that is this edge of fat, and he's dead, laying next to what looks like a bed in my memory. So that might be the subject of this poem right there. The second one is the woman playing with her children. Her children might be ideas. The ideas of the woman out in the woods, out in the dangerous place, out in the place where the dangerous things roam, but the nutritious things grow. This could be his wife, the painter, painting.
Okay.
The third with the Orozco, Christ destroying the cross, might be the symbol of that. I think that which is meaningful, which I think is different than that which we hold dear.
Okay.
That which we find meaningful in this setting might be the marriage itself.
Okay.
With the ambiguity of dialogue as it is presented, it sounds to me like it is him asking her, is it a love affair? Maybe he is constantly questioning their marriage.
Okay.
And that Christ destroying the cross, after having already been crucified on it, Christ destroying the cross after crucifixion, he served his part. It's time to just throw it away.
Okay.
So maybe that's what we're doing with the paintings there.
Okay. The paintings are interesting. And like I said, this kind of blends two different mediums of art here. You have your painting and your writing. And it leads to the question, can the writer write about a painting? Can you capture a painting in word? Can you paint a poem?
I think that each has elements of this, right?
I think so. And I think this kind of blends these together a little bit here, because you do get a little bit of a feel from the poem, from the painting, from the poem, if that makes sense. Kind of that lead up to it, you kind of get a feel of what that painting is, and then you get the insertion. It's great here if you have a chance to see the actual painting, because I think that really adds to this. I think that's absolutely necessary if you're going to look into this poem. You have to see it. But to blend those two together, I think that's a chore. I'm not going to say Bukowski's overly successful with that, but I'm not going to say he failed. I think he took a good shot at it, and I think he did a decent job.
I think the failures with this poem are less the fact that he's invoking paintings. I'm okay to do that work.
Okay.
I think it's more I don't know what's going on and where.
Okay. One of my points here, this needs more structure, it needs more guidance. It feels to be all over the place.
But, that said, this is written like a Picasso.
Okay.
You're taking a different look at things from different angles at things, and you're not being given transition.
Okay.
Which is how Picasso painted. So, I am uncomfortable in my assessments of this poem. Because part of me wonders if I'm not getting it. And part of me wonders if the things I think I'm getting are the Emperor's New Clothes.
Yeah.
That this is just gobbledygook on a page, and here I am playing it up like Bukowski knew someone some point was going to do.
Okay.
And you look like the ass, because the painters didn't paint that way. So why do you literary critics talk that way?
My problem with this painting, and this is what tore me when it came to the actual rating for this, the number we give it, it's all over the place. Structurally, it's a mess. I couldn't really tell you what's even going on.
What was your reaction? Not to distract you, but to add to your point, what was your reaction? Do you remember your thoughts the first time you concluded this poem?
Yeah, it's my third bad thing. What?
Yeah.
I have no idea. You had to stare at it, but when you really look at it, there are some gorgeous lines in here. I like that line about the church. I can paint a flower. I can paint a flower eaten by a snake. That sunlight is a lie, and that market smell of shoes and naked boys' clothes, and under everything some river, some beat, some twist in the clambers along the edge of my temple. There's good writing in here.
Well, even there in that one little image, naked boys clothed.
It's an interesting way to say something.
What is that saying?
We're not just saying people, because that would
What does naked boys clothed suggest? Their natural state is naked,
Okay.
but you've clothed them. What do we get from that? You get some sense from that. You get that they are uncomfortable. And for some reason, when I hear naked boys clothed, I think they smell.
Okay.
They've been in the pond.
Well, that also
They've been outdoors.
That also follows that market smell of shoes.
Yeah. Well, the smell of shoe. What's the next word there? And.
And
The smell of shoes and naked boys clothed.
yeah, there's great poetic language in this, and there are some great lines, but I am still not sure if I could tell you what the hell is going on.
I wonder if part of that apprehension is based on the title.
His wife, the painter.
Yeah. How do you pronounce that?
His wife, the painter.
His wife, the painter?
That's how I read it. His wife, the painter.
Right, no.
Not his wife, the painter.
His wife, the painter.
Okay.
Is the wife the painter?
Yes.
How do you know?
That's how I read it. But you don't.
You don't know.
You don't.
The more I got into this poem, the less I was sure that his wife was the painter. Are the painters the type that go to church?
Not particularly, I wouldn't say. Not stereotypically.
Stereotypically, what would a painter do while his wife went to church?
Paint?
Or lay in bed and be awful?
Fair. Fair.
What does our subject do here? Burns away in sleep.
Yeah. So is he the painter?
His wife, the painter. I don't know. Or is it his wife, the painter? Depending on who it is that you're appending the painter part to, that dialogue is different too, isn't it?
It's fair. It's fair.
If it is he who is the painter, and he says, she has a face unlike any woman that I have ever known, what does she say?
What is it? A love affair?
Silly. I can't love a woman.
Besides, she's pregnant.
Well, but we're going to stop at that middle line. I can't love a woman. Who are you telling you can't love a woman to?
To the woman.
Your wife.
Well, thanks for making it worse for me. I
Right, so,
appreciate you.
and here, if you want to talk about stereotypically, if you want to talk about, hell, just typically, artists. Are artists more or less open-minded to something like homosexuality?
More.
Much more.
Absolutely.
Silly. I can't love a woman. Besides, she's pregnant. Is a female artist prone to saying things like that?
It's possible.
It's possible, sure. Is it probable? Is it
really.
likely? What about that next set of dialogue? Who's saying what there? I must write the Kaiser, though I think he's a homosexual.
Ambiguous dialogue.
It's ambiguous
a trick.
dialogue, but here's the problem. With that next set of dialogue, it is the same exact problem depending on who you think it is.
Okay.
If it's the woman who is the painter saying, I must write the Kaiser, though I think he's a homosexual. She's saying, I don't want to waste his time, he's got other things to do. If it's the man who is the painter, and he's saying, I must write the Kaiser, though I think he's a homosexual, what is he saying? I don't want him to write back thinking that I'm in love with him.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So there you have the same problem as a woman not being able to be in love with a woman. Silly, I can't be in love with a woman.
Fair enough. I don't know where to go from here at this point. Thank you.
It's strange, isn't it?
It is.
That
It is.
You go into this because of a clause. You go into this thinking that the woman's the painter, the wife is the painter,
Yeah.
his wife, comma, space, the painter.
Fair.
But that's his wife. Who's the painter? You see those turns of phrase all the time in a writer like Bukowski and a writer like Polinick.
True.
Right? It is a less polished form of speaking, but you get it from writers like Bukowski for sure.
Absolutely. Bukowski always writes basically the way someone would speak, very Mark Twain-esque. I don't know at this point. I feel just lost.
So if it's her, if it is the wife who is the painter, who owns this poem?
I would assume him.
If it's the wife that owns this poem, if it's the painter, if it's the wife who is the painter, it's her who owns this poem because this poem is scaffolded around the paintings.
But is he scaffolding it around his wife's paintings?
They're not his wife's paintings.
Well, about these paintings that he would, be familiar with.
That's with which he would be familiar.
With which he would be familiar. That's again that writer's medium. It's the poet and the poet and the painter.
Who
together.
says he's the writer?
I don't know.
No
That's
one says
how
he's
I read
the
it.
writer. Why did you read it that way?
Because I just assumed Bukowski was our narrator in this.
That's a terrible assumption.
Shame on me.
Shame on you.
Shame on me. Well, damn. Everything I know is a lie now. Thank you.
And all it took was 2 pages of Bukowski.
2 pages of Bukowski.
2 pages of Chucky Buck.
Do you have anything else to say about this?
I was on a roll until you asked me that.
Well, I was just saying, like, I'm.
If it's him who's the painter, who owns this poem?
Him?
From start to finish, he owns this poem.
Okay.
From start to finish, he owns this poem. If it's her, it's more of a dialectic. If it's him that's the painter, are we even really taking that dialogue for sure? If she's not present in any of the rest of this, maybe this is just him musing. Oh yeah, she says to me. This is what she says to me. This is how she talks to me.
It's possible.
How many times in your salty existence have you been on one of those rants?
Where you just...
Oh, Adrian, yeah. Oh, Adrian, how's he talk to me? You want to know how he talks to me? Talking to yourself. How does he talk to me? He talks to me like this. He talks down to me. He condescends. That son of a bitch. He says to me. He says to me, hey, why don't you get a job, Salty? He says to me, hey, why don't you show up on time, Salty? That's how he says to me.
Fair.
You talk to yourself that way, don't you?
Maybe the painter is just rambling to himself.
And you talk for me and yourself, don't you? In those salty little rants.
I do indeed. But we have to yield, though, that they are both here. I mean, if he's speaking to himself, it's fine. We can make that assumption. But she's definitely present. This is not just the ramblings of a man just, rambling to himself. She is here.
No, she's not.
You don't think so?
She made a little hat and he fastened it 2 snaps under one arm, reaching up from the bed like a long feeler from a snail. And she went to church.
Fair enough.
Sounds already gone to me.
Fair enough.
Sounds past tense. Made, went. She gone.
Well,
what do you make of the ending?
You tell me at this point. I'm just going to sit here and smile for the rest of this review.
He burned away in sleep. What does that mean?
He toiled away.
Toiled away in sleep? While he was asleep, he toiled?
You ever had like a fever dream?
A fever dream isn't work. Not toiling.
That's torturous. I'd say it's toiling.
It's not toiling.
Okay.
It's a full day of work for Dalton.
It's a hard day. It's a hard day. You're welcome. What do you get from that?
I don't know. Sounds to me not like a fever dream, but the dream of someone who's jealous.
Okay.
Burned away in sleep. Burned with desire. Burned with the thoughts of someone somewhere you don't want them. She's off with God. You don't want her there. God's not real. You don't want her there. You don't agree with God.
About church, the trouble with a mask?
You don't want her there because you don't believe she's at church. That's what that mask is. She puts on the mask of going to church, but she's going off with Sally, what's-her-name, the model, to have an affair.
Perhaps.
But that's only if she's the painter.
Well, congratulations. I officially don't like this poem anymore.
Are you going to change your rating?
No, I'm going to keep it where it was.
Why?
Because there's good writing in this. There's good poetic language.
Because you're too lazy.
There's a lot of worth in this, but I'm not changing it. But now I question everything that I thought about it.
Well, what do you think about it now?
I don't know what to think about it now.
Yeah, it's an MF, huh?
Again, it needs more structure. It needs more guidance because there's no way to actually tell what we're getting at here. I think you can
Well,
pick it
does
apart
it need more guidance?
like if you want an
We're
actual,
doing an awfully good job having conversation 25 minutes into this
if
thing
you want
without
to have an
guidance.
explanation, if you want me to give you the answers to these,
Explanation or conversation?
if you want an explanation, if you want me to give you answers to these questions, there has to be more to it.
Did Orozco paint for the explanation?
I'd like to
Or the
hope
conversation?
So. I would like to hope so. is
I
your
don't think
explanation.
so. What about Jean-Baptiste Camille Corot?
Again, these names mean nothing to me. But clearly he painted for explanation.
I
not
don't
conversation.
think that's true.
I think that's true.
I don't think that's true.
Adrian, what would you rate this?
I would give this 70 Freuds out of 100.
70, I give it 82.
What?
I give it 82! There's really great language in here. That is gorgeous.
But you've just spent 25 minutes talking about how little you like it.
That is gorgeous. That line is absolutely beautiful. I'll even
So
give you...
rude the flowers that grow and do not grow beautiful.
There you go. What would you suggest? Dear Lord.
The Great Writer, which is on page 228 of this very Bukowski collection. Okay. This collection being, of course, The Pleasures of the Damned.
I went a little different with this.
Because if it is her that is the painter, maybe that's the other side. Maybe he is a writer, like Salty had suggested.
Fair enough. I went a little different with this.
Yeah?
I gave you a good classic of song.
Okay.
You ever heard Vincent? Don McLean?
No.
Gorgeous.
Vincent.
Vincent.
Vincent Price?
Van Gogh. Golf.
I like it a little less.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Have you ever heard Vincent Price?
No, I have not.
You know he's from St. Louis?
Is he?
Yeah.
Good for him. That's
You know
Southwest.
Vincent Price.
Isn't he an actor? Anyway.
Send us out, Dalton.
If you like this kind of thing, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. Leave us a comment letting us know what you think of this poem, because I think we are both just kind of trying to figure this one out.
Vincent Price did voiceovers for Michael Jackson videos.
That means nothing to me. And if you like this kind of thing, there is a link, as always, to our Patreon to be found in the description below.